All right, so what's the dealio here? Update on the concerns. Okay, I posted about that too. I would like to provide you with an update regarding the removal of the coupons recently announced on the low popularity announcement of the popularity items ending. Everyone was like, "What the fuck? That's not low popularity. What's going on?" I reviewed the purchase data for these items. While considering their removal, we saw that they cumulatively make up about 0.28% of the total item sales. We came to the conclusion that the items, including the double drop special coupons, are not heavily used by players considering the small purchase numbers, and determined that their removal would not significantly impact your gameplay experience. After the announcement that the sale of these low popularity items will be discontinued, we saw a lot of feedback from the double drop coupon. The double drop special coupons are frequently used by players and are not low popularity items like the others in the list. The reactions we saw were contrasting to the data that we had received, so we investigated once more to see if there may have been any points of misunderstanding of the purchase data. After investigation, we found that there was an error in our data where the purchase of double drop special coupons using Maple points were not taken into account. Okay. The purchase data for the double drop special coupon alone, when including purchases made with Maple points, actually accounted for 2.11% of total item purchases, which is more significant than we had thought. That's 1 in 50 of all items. 2% of all items. So it's like fucking massive. Unlike the other items in the list to be removed, double drop special coupons had an additional factor that contributed to the decision for its discontinuation. Oh, then now they're coming with the balance, aren't they? Double drop special coupons are based on two factors: our incorrect understanding of their usage trends and their impact on game balance. Okay, but either they're being used a lot and therefore they have an impact on the balance, or they're not being used a lot and then they don't have an impact on the balance, right? you can't have it both ways. Like if you thought that they had a big impact, then you knew that they were being used, because otherwise it wouldn't be significant and you wouldn't have to, and then you could just discontinue them. Coupons have a multiplicative stacking, and the other thing is that if they have, we know that they have a balance effect. I mean, that's the first thing we said. It's probably because of balance, right? But if you did, then you just come out and say that in the beginning, that you're doing that also for balance sake. But you do that before people complain about it. Once again, Next have proven themselves perfectly capable of always being too late and being super reactive instead of being proactive and being transparent with their communication on why they're doing things. Why is it always after the very, 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 very predictable reaction of the community that then you start coming up with the actual reasons on why it is, instead of just saying it in the beginning, saying it up front, like this is the reason why we're doing this and this. Not say, okay, we fucked this one up, but we have this other reason also that actually doesn't make sense with the reason why we removed it. So, but we're going to go with that one now. This is the very best way of pissing people off and keeping them pissed off. Just be upfront from the beginning, or say, yeah, you know, like, oh, it's already in the code, we can't fix it or something. Like, there's no winning here. Like, the way you're setting yourself up for failure. Because now it's also like, oh, apparently we have bad data gathering. We need to double check on our data gathering because apparently we don't even know if that stuff is done correctly. Apparently an item sale is registered so differently that it doesn't pop up when you're looking for item sales of the exact same item just because it's bought in a different way. That also seems like that registration is completely ass backwards, but okay. These coupons have a multiplicative stacking function, and this allows the drop increase bonus to be much higher than what would be healthy for the game. Okay, so how long have you known this? How long have you considered reworking this? And how big like, because these coupons have been in the game forever, right? So if you remove them after like a week because you're like, oh shit, this is too much, sure. But haven't these been in the game for many, many years? We incorrectly assessed that the removal of the coupons would not have a notable impact on players and gameplay. But if they don't have a notable impact on players and gameplay, are you taking them out like preemptively because you think people might realize? Okay. If there is something that works like multiplicatively and it should actually work additively, I can tell you, I can promise you that the player base will find this before Nexon does. So if you guys find out, you bet your ass that the player base already knows this for many years. So they will be using it, you know? You're not getting like ahead of the problem. It almost sounds like, oh, we figured out that they actually work in this way, so we try to get rid of them without announcing it so that people wouldn't like mass buy them or mass hoard them because they knew that there would be something wrong with it or something to take advantage of it. Player base knows instantly. People try these. People try everything, you know? Any kind of bug that you guys find, probably already half the player base knows. Or, you know, or any kind of unintended interaction. The player base already knows, and it's probably already been abusing it and keeping it hush-hush, making sure that it doesn't get fixed, because that's just what our player base is like, sadly. People don't really care about having a game that works the way it's intended. They like to just have more. But that's the player base that you've gathered with the game that you've made. We determined that the detailed message on the full context of the removal may not be warranted with what we thought was an indication of low usage trends for these coupons. Okay. It just seems logically incongruent with... If you really think that they were so OP, but nobody was using them, they were important enough to remove. That's how good they were, but they were really that good, but still they think nobody's using them. That just it doesn't match. If they're that good that they're worth removing because they're really breaking the game, then people are using them. So there should have been someone at Nexon who saw these two things and were like, hey, these two things don't connect. Let's double check the count first before we make this decision. And then before we make that first announcement. But, you know. Determine the detail. We clearly made the wrong decision to present the information this way without providing you with the full reasoning behind the discontinuation. Exactly. Deep apologize for this miscommunication. Do you think they're going to announce that they're going to be communicating better? Is this one going in the list of like announcements and times that they said that they were going to improve the communication? We know that the double drop special coupons are used more frequently by players than we had initially assessed, and we reviewed the removal of the coupons with the accurate data once more. Even when reviewing the situation with the accurate data, the impact these coupons have on the game balance still remains a concern. Due to the overarching concern, we believe that it will be best for the long-term health of the game to proceed with the discontinuation of these coupon sales during the version 231 update maintenance. Apologize once again for the miscommunication we delivered regarding the removal of the double drop coupon. Special coupon sales. So what's interesting is that this seems to be completely incongruent with the changes of Kishin getting removed, boss crystal changes, all of that. So it seems to be completely separate from that. It's not like they're announcing that they're going to do it during the summer update, right? They're doing it during version 231, which is next week. Or, well, not next week. That's in, what is it, in 2 days? Is it tomorrow? When is it? It's soon, TM, right? Which leads me to believe that it is something that they only just recently discovered that they work like that, and that someone actually was like, hey, that's not intended. What I'm imagining is that because the coupons are so strong and multiplicative, and you can just buy them, you know, I don't know how much they cost, but it seems that they probably saw that because they give so much drop by themselves, it probably discourages people from buying cubes to upgrade for more drop rate gear. And as a result, they're actually losing money on them compared to cubes, is what I'm guessing. But it almost seems like they must have had the numbers on how many of them were getting bought for them to look into how they work. Or it's just that, you know, some smartass was like, hey, these things are multiplicative. Is it supposed to be like that? And then they actually started like testing and looking into it, and were like, oh, actually, is it? And then asked KMS, and then 3 months later got like a no back, and then was like, oh, we should do something with them. Does anyone know if other regions have these coupons? Because someone mentioned JMS before. I don't know if that's long-term health of the game, aka our pockets. I mean, yeah, that's what it kind of comes down to. I mean, if the game stops making money and has to shut down, then the health of the game is down to shitter, right? It is interconnected. As much as you're trying to reduce it to just our bottom line, the bottom line of the game is pretty important for the game staying up. If the game just runs a loss for a long time, it'll just shut down. Maple Sea is the only other region that has the coupons? It must be, TMS must have them, right? TMS has all the OP shit. You feel like Ghibli is trying to cover Savage Ace's decision? Ghibli is the community manager. She just writes these things on she has to write these things. Like she has to write these communications. It's not like her personal or her job or personal goal is to like cover up for the team or something. Like this is her job is to write these communications and to spread this message from the team to the players, right? Considering a data analyst does not do their job properly, that might be terrible. Yeah, well, exactly. For me, this is actually the scariest thing here is like what is the real reasoning for them doing this? Because if they just say like, hey, cube sales are down the shitter because everyone's just buying these cubes and it's just these coupons, so they're bad for business, so we're getting rid of them. But if the other thing is that, hey, we have a data analyst who is basically based on their reports, we're making our decisions on what gets axed and what stays, but also they're off by an order of magnitude, you know, from 0.28% of all the items together to just 2.11% on only the item is like, that's a, I don't know, man. Is the person who does the data analysis just someone who does this on the side, who just got it as a side project but has no Owen what's his face is just Ghibli's small guy. So yeah, that I think is the like kind of scarier part. So not giving the full story, not giving the full reasoning, always bad. Just give the full reasoning in the beginning. If you thought that they have very big negative game ramifications, then either you would have said so, or you should have known that those numbers would be bad. And then the news of removing them shouldn't be part of the low popularity, but should have been as part of our ongoing balancing of the game, blah, blah, blah. We have discovered that, blah, blah, blah. The return rates are far greater, exceeding our intended balance for the game, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, these items are getting discontinued, blah, blah, blah. Like, if there were two reasons and they were so impactful, then you should have said the other reason and not this one. If you thought that this was the reason and this was the accurate number, then they didn't have a game impact and there was no reason to remove them. The only reason that could be is that you didn't even know how those items worked until now, after they've been in the game for years. And that in itself, again, is a bad reflection on just Nexon not knowing how their game works. So, like, best case scenario, they're lying. Worst case scenario, they're lying and incompetent. So, you know, pick our poison, I guess. But yeah, maybe look into the dude who's doing the analysis. I don't know if it was like a temp guy who just got it thrown in his lap, or if this was like, I don't know who that, I say guy, or like who that person was. Could have been a girl, you know, equal opportunity screw up. Could have been a guy who screwed up. Could have been a girl. Could have been any in between. But yeah, if anything, it just throws up so many question marks, man. I try to always be understanding for all the things, but man, if you, I really, like, I wouldn't tell anyone, but please let me proofread these announcements before you post them, or the Beam Brigade, or just anyone who's played this game who actually plays this game. If you I could have told you beforehand, like how the community was going to respond to those things, even though I don't play non-reboot. Like, I feel like you should see this coming from so far away, but it keeps happening. You should have like some kind of focus group of like 5 to 10 people who play this game a lot, and just let us proofread this, because we could we could save you so much. I mean, I guess because we're such a small game and the player base is all like, people are like whatever. It still comes across as that you just don't really care. But I feel like you guys do, like you want to, but it's like you're not showing it. So have some kind of way of having these things be proofread, or just kind of like means tested, or like Matt, or just have a healthy mix of people from different servers, from different regions. Just like 5 to 10 people within the Bean Brigade. We're pretty diverse. We've got people in NA, people in EU, people in non-reboot, people in reboot. We got more casual players, we got more YouTube players, more Twitchy players. So we have people playing all of the different classes and everything. Can we just have, because we're always at the sidelines, and then hearing it afterwards and being like, yeah, we could have told them that this was going to happen and this was going to happen. But send me the link, Cecil. But then, we only hear about it afterwards either, and then it's like too little, too late. Like nothing more that we can do. And then we could do two things. We can then try to like shill hard for Nexon, or we could try to shit hard on them. I try to be unbiased there, and I do a little bit of both. Usually a little bit more of the shitting, I think, than the shilling. But it's not good. It's not good. I could have told you that it wouldn't be. I wonder if this is going to be significantly different than what I said. You're trying to make it seem like it was initially removed because of low popularity, not because of imbalance. Even when explanation was so imbalance, there's some representation reason to as to truly. Fuck Nixon. Oh, I thought he was going to say like Nook Fexon. Isn't that the thing where you always like switch the first two letters? Is it really a lie though, or are they just omitting part of the truth? I think the reason, no, I don't think it's that they wouldn't notice. I think it's because they fear that if they really brought too much attention to it, that they that people would abuse it more. That people who didn't know, like people would start looking into how good they actually were, and they would hope that a large part of the community wouldn't know how good they were. Like they, I think, live emission, that they only recently found out. I think that's what happened. I think they recently just found out how good the coupons are. They were way better than what they intended. So they were like, okay, can we just axe them? And then they did the analysis, saw that they weren't being used much, and was like, okay, we can nip it in the bud. Okay, we're gonna delete them because of low popularity. Cool. And then they would call out on their shit, and they were like, oh, do the numbers again. It's like, oh shit, people are actually using them. People actually do know about it. Okay, well now we have to come clean and say that we actually noticed that they were way too good, and that it's actually for balance reasons, and not for the other one, right? I feel that's what going on. Exactly what happened with Threads of Fate. No, everything with Threads of Fate was all 100%. Blatant bug abuse by players, but because it's non-KMS content, they keep not being able to properly fix it, and Nexon is just like kind of quote-unquote doing the best they can there, Nexon America, but they have to rely on fixes from Korea and stuff for the different regions, and every single fix is never a full fix, so they're just going to be perpetually patching that until it gets somewhat closer to an actual fix. But with how that whole system with Threads of Fate worked, all of that is blatant player bug abuse, because it's very clearly not there. People are clearly like, oh, let's go into a fucking elevator to bypass the wait time for like. People know exactly what they're doing there. Shameless. I'm actually pretty damn surprised they admitted it, to be honest. I mean, we always speculate they lie about shit, but being so blunt about it really took me by surprise. Okay, that's it. Not too much. Okay, but yeah, so, I mean, I guess those are my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are. But I guess with, already small player base and non-reboot, I guess, another kick in the teeth for you guys. But start working on those bossing mules, because no kind of, I guess, frenzy totem. every crazy thing that gives you an insane amount of income, I think, on non-reboot are all such giant nails that are sticking out. So diversify your bonds. Don't put all your eggs into one basket, and any other figure of speech that does anything like that. So let me know what you guys think. And yeah, that's been a short update for you guys.